What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Two Worlds Podcast. I'm Jake, and with me, as always, is the slippy toad to my Fox McCloud. It's Casey. What's up, buddy?
I'm under fire. Do a barrel roll. I know he doesn't say that, but I'm not the most, Star Fox savvy gentleman. So
Well, hey, you still made a quote, and
yeah,
that's
there
what
we go.
counts. All right, let's get into the news. We're back on track where I have almost nothing, and Casey has a lot more than me. So, Casey, take it away.
Okay, so first off, there's a new Shazam costume. It looks like Zachary Levi, is in it, and he's looking way better than he did in the last one. I actually like the old costume. It gets a lot of flack and kind of justifiably because it does look very stuffed. Like I know he did gain a lot of mass, but I have that costume looks like everything he's still Chuck size Zachary Levi underneath there. And this one, it's very nice. Like, did you see it?
So, I saw the little video thing that they put out, but I didn't think that we got a good look at it. Was there an actual photo?
Yeah, there's actual photos out there. They released the photos first, and then they did a little teaser where it's just like all dark, and then Zachary Levi or Shazam's like, a little light would be nice, guys." It's pretty funny.
Oh,
But
okay. I just now saw the photo. Yeah, that looks awesome.
yeah, like I said, I like the old one, but this is like 100 times better.
It's very, very like DC universe, like Anna or movie universe
Yeah,
aesthetic.
and and I don't know if it's just the way that they did it, but it looks like it's way less padded, but he still looks big.
Oh, he looks huge.
Yeah, but
And
the
I
old
know
one
that
looked
he's working
fake.
for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
it
know what I
did for
mean?
sure.
And he's still like, I mean, he still was gaining lots of muscle and lots of mass before. So it's just like, you know, I don't know if it was just the stuff they made that costume out of or what, but yeah, this is just a huge improvement on something that was already good.
Yeah. The only thing I like better about the old one is the lightning bolt,
Yeah, fair enough.
but yeah, still super cool.
So, Suicide Squad McFarlane toys have been revealed, and this is like it's so stupid to me because they made Peacemaker and they gave him a sword because guns are bad apparently, even though that's kind of his thing. Like I don't think he's gonna wield a sword at all in the movie, but yet they're like,
Isn't
no,
that like a few of their things is guns?
yeah, yeah. So it's just like I don't quite get this one, guys. I was reading something where it's just like DC doesn't want to produce toys that have guns anymore. That's one of the things that someone said. I don't know how true that is, but I was just like, this is very dumb. But the McFarlane toys still look really awesome because McFarlane sculpts are always great. So that's at least a plus. I'm not going to buy any because I'm not the biggest Suicide Squad fan and just don't have the biggest interest, but they look cool.
I didn't take a look at them. It's silly because if I remember right, McFarlane toys aren't really like cheap toys, right? Aren't they more
No.
like for the collector?
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, anymore, none of the toys are really cheap. But like
Yeah, fair.
the last time I bought a McFarlane figure, I'm gonna call it that. It was I think a Larry Bird. Like he was doing basketball ones, like the basketball sculpts, and it was like a Larry Bird like doing his like pose, and I think that was like about $20, but that would have been early-ish 2000s. So they're
Right,
probably like 30 to 40 now.
right. I don't know. My whole thing is like, I mean, if you don't want to do guns for like kids, that's fine. But one, the movie's rated R, so kids shouldn't be seeing it anyway. And two, the collectors want the guns if that's what the character uses.
Yeah,
It's just silly.
100%.
All right. So all three of my news things are actually directly comic book news. So um there's going to be a Death of Doctor Strange miniseries in September. It's going to be 5 issues, written by Jed McKay, and art by Lee Garbett. So here's the breakdown of it. It's a future story showing the final chapter of Doctor Strange's, like what he does for the Marvel universe. And I guess Jed McKay said he wanted to touch on the ramifications of what if the Marvel universe didn't have Doctor Strange. So I don't know if it's going to be a thing where like here's an issue where it shows what happens when we don't have him, but then because he can do time stuff, he saves the day, probably what it's going to be. But um, I don't know. I don't know why Marvel is obsessed with these death of big character. We've done it with Wolverine. We've done it with Old Man Logan, which is a different Wolverine. They've done it with the Inhumans. Um, I feel like Spider-Man a while ago, but I feel like more recently there was even another one. Um, I
I
just
don't
don't.
know.
It's just not necessary because really
Yeah,
it doesn't matter too much, and they're just doing this whole death thing for the sales, and it never has a lasting effect.
yeah, but at least this one, it is very much its own self-contained thing. It's not like them when they, killed off Johnny Storm and they're like, they're gonna stay dead forever. And then
Right.
it's like a year later he's back. This is like its own thing. Because at first I was like, this is really stupid because he's one of the big names that they have left in the movie verse. Like you can't be killing him off, like kill him off in the comics while they're still making movies about him. That'd be really stupid. But at least this is like its own mini series, and Jed McKay's a good enough writer, so I mean, I have faith that he would actually do a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, my initial thought was like, oh, Scarlet Witch is going to take over and it'll be the Sorceress Supreme. But then it's like, well, maybe this just won't matter that much and the movies will stay separate. But I don't
Yeah,
know. We'll find out.
it. I mean, it's one of those things that's so stupid to me though, because it's like Marvel's done a pretty good job of like synergy, and that's where DC's always kind of messed up of like having their comics be similar enough to their movies that people can go into your shop and then be like, "Here's money, point me in the right direction," and and it's worked. So it's just weird that they're doing this, but then since like I said, since this is its own thing, I think it's gonna be pretty neat. I'm actually interested in it.
I'm interested in it too. I just don't have a lot of faith that it's going to have the effect that they say it's going to have. But anyway, moving on.
Moving on, Indiana Jones 5 is going to start production this week, and it's starring Harrison Ford, and it's going to be directed by James Mangold. I didn't even know they were doing this. I don't think they should, but whatever. I mean, hope Shia LaBeouf's going to be in it too.
No, you don't. So, Spielberg did Crystal Skull, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So if he's not doing it, it's already a little bit better, right?
hopefully so. I mean, I don't know. It's
I'm
just
gonna see
like,
it. Like I
yeah,
I
it.
love Indiana Jones, not Crystal Skull, but I love Indiana Jones. So even if it's bad, I'll still go see it.
I just hope there's one part where Indiana Jones kicks a dead horse.
That would be funny.
And then I don't know. Like I think you'd be interested in this game, so that's why I kind of put it in the notes, even though you are, PC master class now.
Hmm.
But God of War Ragnarok has been delayed till 2022, and it'll be on both the PS4 and 5. So maybe if I get it, which I probably won't because I never was into those games, but if I do, you can just come over and play it and be like, "Well, I don't think Thor would get killed by old Kratos."
That is a flawless impression of me.
I was
Um,
going, yeah, I thought so.
yeah, I didn't play the other one either because of the PlayStation exclusivity, but it sure looked cool and everybody said it was great and it won game of the year question mark.
I don't know if
Or it was at least in the talks.
yeah, like because I had like 1 through 3 like remastered for the PlayStation 3, and I was like, not doing it for me, and so I just traded into GameStop and got something else.
Yeah, I've played a couple of the uh, I don't know if I played like 1 and 2 or 1 and 3 or and 2 or 3. I don't know what I played. I played two of the old ones, and then I watched a lot of like Twitch for the newest one, and they weren't really that similar as far as
Oh, really?
like I don't know if it was like camera angle or just the graphics were that much better that it seemed different, but something seemed different between the two. But either way, I did see that. I saw a lot of people on the internet were not happy about it, as they usually aren't when games get delayed, but um, this just means that they're making it better before release. So
Exactly. Like that's the same. That's the thing. It's like the same people that are like screaming about it being delayed are the same people that would be screaming about it if there was like one thing wrong with it.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
like Kratos' beard is slightly different than it was in the last game. It's glitching a little bit.
This
Let's
game is
burn their house
trash.
down. It's just like, geez, guys, calm down.
Yeah. All
So,
right. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I'm just gonna dive right in.
After you.
I'm gonna bulldoze you right over. So did you watch Jupiter's Legacy? It's
I
the Mark Miller
didn't.
show that was on Netflix.
No, I
Well,
didn't read the book either.
yeah, I didn't read it, didn't do anything like that. The only downside is like Mark seems very proud of this, and Netflix has decided to cancel it. So that's too bad. They're only giving it one season, but they have ordered a new live action adaptation of Miller's Super Crooks, which will have characters from Jupiter's Legacy. Which is weird because they also cut the contracts of every single person on Jupiter's Legacy. So I don't know how they're going to be able to get them back, or if they might just recast the same characters that were already in there. Don't know how that's going
Right.
to work, but
So, one of my customers, his name is Dan. I know he's listening. Hello, Dan.
hi
Uh,
Dan.
he is a pretty big fan of Jupiter's Legacy from the few conversations we've had about it. So I don't know. I don't know if he watched it. And if you have, Dan, let me know how the show was in comparison to the book. But he always said that the book was really good. So it's a shame that the show either didn't live up to expectations or Netflix is just being a bunch of dummies about it. But
It just doesn't make any sense because it was out for like it's been out for like what 2 weeks now, and they're already
yeah.
like
Plus,
it's
didn't they
just
put a lot into it? I heard that like the
yeah.
production was quite large.
Yeah, and then like Miller said to Tony Guerrero, he was like this. He's like Kick-Ass was the proudest I'd ever been of one of my works being turned into a thing until Jupiter's Legacy,
Wow.
and so it's just like. What are you guys doing at Netflix? I don't know if like maybe Miller just changed his mind and he's like, I'd rather do Super Crooks now, and that's what it was. But
Or maybe it's just one big stunt.
yeah, maybe.
All right. My next bit of news, and these kind of go together, so I'll do them both. So there's a new Venom series, to no one's surprise. It's going to start in November. Donny Cates's run is going to wrap up at issue 200, and then Ram V and Al Ewing are going to be taking over on writing duties. I know. If you're all watching, you can see Casey's reaction, and then Brian Hitch will be on the art. And I'm not the biggest Brian Hitch fan, even though he worked a lot on that last Hawkman series, which he did a good job on. But usually, I'm not his biggest fan. So it's like Al Ewing, Brian Hitch. I'm like, eh. Hopefully, Ram V carries a little bit on that. Either way, it's going to sell well because it's Venom and the symbiotes are hot right now. And then where's Donny Cates going after Venom? Well, we also found out this week he's going to take over Hulk in November. So we're going to have Donny Cates with Ryan Otley on the art. So I see that you're much more excited about that, Casey.
Yeah, no, I've hated this Hulk run for so long, and like this is so exciting for some Donny Cates Hulk. Like I have a feeling it's gonna be dumb and just crazy and just stupid fun, and it won't be trying to be smart and still not really make any sense. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
So apart from Planet Hulk, I haven't read any Hulk outside of the first volume of Immortal, which I read when it came out in trade. So
Hmm.
it's been a while, but this I think I'll check out. I like Thor so much that I'm like, if he can do something this cool with Hulk, then I'm on board for that.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, Donny Cates, like everything of his I've read, like at worst, I'm like, this is pretty good
Yeah,
so far. I mean, I'll be honest, I've not read like everything he's done, but like his Venom, his Guardians of the Galaxy crossover, even though I got behind on that, his Thor, it's all been fantastic.
I really want to go back and read his Doctor Strange.
Oh, I read
That
that one
little
too. That one was really good.
was it okay?
Yeah.
Because I know at first you like weren't super keen on like Loki taking over, but I guess it ended up being okay.
Yeah, no, that I liked. And one thing that I did like about it, and this is one of the things that made me stop reading with Mark Wade's run, is like you had Jason Aaron's run, which I was like kind of okay on, but they got rid of the magic. And so then this one's like Doctor Strange rediscovering his magic and all that. And then when Mark Wade took over, he's just like, none of that. Doctor Strange loses his magic again. He's going to outer space to find new magic. And I'm like, Mark, I love you so much, and you worry about continuity so much. What are you doing
Yeah, that is a shame.
now?
Well, hopefully all that is good stuff, but I agree. I hope that Donnie is also staying, like continuing on Thor. Um, if it goes to someone else, so be it. Thor's had a lot of writers over the years, but I hope that him going to Hulk doesn't mean he's leaving Thor.
I mean, he seems to be able to do at least 4 or 5 books, so I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then like with the Ram V and Al Ewing, like I like Ram V a lot. I don't like Al Ewing at all, really. And then you add in the fact that it's like I'm just gonna compare Swamp Thing to Venom, where it's like they can be kind of like overly complex characters. And that little bit of Ram V Swamp Thing that I read, I did not like. And so I'm like, I'm worried that like even the Ram V stuff is going to be more like the Swamp Thing and less like the Catwoman. So like, there's nothing redeeming for me. Like that'll be redeeming in this Venom series that I will be like, oh yeah, I need to read this.
So is this you saying you're not gonna read the first issue?
Not at all.
All right.
Unless you're like, no, dude, you need to get this because Splip Splap, the new Venom bad guy, that is gonna be the hottest thing, is gonna be in this issue.
You heard it here first, folks. Splip Splap, the new symbiote.
It's gonna be in the new movie. He's gonna get his own like series afterwards. It's gonna be great.
Yep.
Okay, so I have the last two things I have are just casting news. So first, Issa Rae will play Spider Woman in Into the Spider Verse 2. And one thing I'm curious about with this is, are they gonna just have an African American Spider Woman? That's gonna be an alternate universe one, or there's a cast her as white? Because there's like this weird complaint now with voice casting where they're like, no, the voice cast, the person that they cast for voice has to be the color of the person that's doing the voiceover. It's like they don't. Like
Yeah,
that's
why
the
does
dumb.
that matter?
Yeah, because a white guy got cast as a black guy. That's why it mattered. So people were throwing a fit about it. I
What
don't even
was
know.
it?
I don't remember. But
Oh,
then I'm like, yeah, but okay. The dude that voices, I think it's Martian Manhunter. He's like an insane voice actor. He also
Phil
does Samurai.
Lamar?
Yeah, he also does Samurai Jack's voice. It's like,
Yeah.
no, if you're just good at your job, it doesn't matter. I mean, like the only time it matters is if there's like a white dude doing a very stereotypical impression of whatever race that he's supposed to be doing. Then don't do that. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's one thing I was curious about with it. But I don't really know her from much, so maybe she'll be good.
I mean, people have to realize the same people are doing number two, and number one was one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. So
Hmm.
just trust them.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm gonna butcher this person's name, so I apologize ahead of time. But Tanakh Hireta has been reportedly cast as Namor in the second Black Panther movie, and which is weird because I always pictured Namor as Asian, not gonna lie, and this dude's Hispanic, so I'm like, that's a bit odd. But yeah, he's gonna be probably the villain question mark in Black Panther 2.
You think they'll
So
do an Atlantis versus Wakanda thing?
I bet that's what it's gonna end up being. Like
I had to
that way,
Google
then
the
they'll.
guy because I'd never heard of him, and I
Neither
was
have I.
shocked to learn that he's 40. You know,
Dang, I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah, he looked like 20.
yeah, I know. But hopefully, I don't know, man. I feel like there's going to be a lot of criticism around this next Black Panther.
Yeah, and like I heard there was like a mini like rumor thing that I heard online. Like they were gonna be pushing the actress that played Shuri to be the next Black Panther, but she did like an anti-vax tweet, and so now like they're like kind of like we don't know if we should be pushing her anymore because she could be crazy. So it's like I don't know if there's nothing like backing that up. It's just like one thing I read online, but it's still pretty funny.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any truth to that. That's funny.
Yeah, because I did see the tweet and people were throwing a fit about it, but I'm like, it's not that. Like, because she was relating it to way like back in the day when there was like these new, cures and all this other stuff, and black people were the first people to get it because we were just, white people were using them as guinea pigs. And so she's like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't use this, really be quick to use this. That's all she was saying. That people were like, oh, get out. There's the Twitter outrage on it. And I'm like, I mean, she probably shouldn't be using her platform to say that, but whatever.
Right. Man, it's almost like Twitter is the fucking worst, you
I
know?
know. I know.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up the news.
It
So
does.
we will take our little ad break and we'll come back and talk some comics. So we'll be right back.
Okay. So, funny story. I was out biking this weekend or yesterday actually, and I was like, I want to do about 17, 20 miles because I haven't been biking long distance since I'm just going to start and then work my way up. And so I've been going, I was doing really good the first like half. I was going about 16 miles per hour. This like second half, it was all just hills and the wind was hitting me. So like my mileage was way down. But I was like, well, I'm gonna change up my setting because I was like this. I'm gonna like lean forward and bike like this. As I was moving, I must not have been paying attention to the road. I hit like a bump or a pothole or something, and it just lost complete control. I luckily like caught myself, so I was fine. But my bike, I go back to my bike and it's like it's on the ground, so I go pick it up. The chain won't move, so I get the chain back, set up, and I go and I try to move. The back wheel's not moving. The wheel's bent, like just like this, kind of fold in. And I'm like, so I had to put it on my back, and I'm like I was about 10 and a half miles in, and I'm about 7 miles away from home. So I
Oh
have to put it on my back,
no.
and it's like 9 o'clock. My family's at church, so I couldn't call them. So I was like, well, better just start hoofing it. So I just started walking back with my bike.
You walked a full 7 miles with
I
the
walked
bike?
I walked about 5. It was about 4.5 actually. And by then it was 11 o'clock and I got a hold of my mom and I was like, hey, my bike broke and I'm like by the 4-H stuff. Like, could you come pick me up? She's like, okay. And they came and picked me up and tossed the bike in the back of the truck.
So you just have to get a new wheel for it?
Yeah, but dude, bikes are stupid expensive. Like the wheel, like I might have to get new gears too, but like just wheels can be about $100.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's stupid. Like every time I see something like bike related, and if you're a biker out there, I'm sure you're a cool one.
A
But
cyclist?
yeah, if you're a cyclist out there, I'm sure you're one of the cool ones, but like some of it is it's the douchiest, stupidest stuff on the planet. Like I was looking at a forum one time, like my bike doesn't have a kickstand. And I was like, why the heck doesn't it have a kickstand? And they're like, well, it cuts down on the it makes it more wind resistant and you can't go as fast. It's like, yeah, from 15 to 12. Oh no. Get out of here.
Well, here in St. Louis, there are several like bike shops, and anytime I go by one, like go past one, I'm like, oh, I bet there's like $1,500 to $2,000 bikes in there.
Dude, so I did this race like I think 2 years ago, and I overheard someone talking about how they dropped, I think it was $8,000 into their bike,
My gosh,
and I'm
that's
just like, why? And I'm not like gonna, I like not to like be body shaming, but the dude looked like Skeletor, so it's not even like giving him a good physique.
well, to each their own, I
I
guess,
I
right?
guess.
All right. Well, thanks for the fun story.
Yeah, man. I'll let you do one next time.
Okay. Welcome back. Thanks for listening to the ad, or if you're on the YouTubes, our exclusive YouTube only story from Casey. But now we will get into the comics that we read this week. Casey, what were those?
So I read Crush and Lobo #1, The Immortal Hulk #47, Green Lantern #3, Ginny Zero #2, The Nice House on the Lake Book 1, Nocterra #4, Dead Dog's Bite issue 4, and Iron Fist #6, and Batman 109. What about you, man?
I read Apex Legends Overtime #1, Man Bat #5, Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters #1, Suicide Squad #4, Iron Fist Heart of the Dragon #6, and Batman 109.
All right. Man, we only got 2 in common this week. That's just too bad.
I know. I thought you were getting Suicide Squad.
I just keep forgetting because I'm used to not getting it.
Fair enough.
All right. So I'll start with Crush and Lobo. So it's pretty nice that this kind of does pick up where the last, like where Teen Titans left off, because it's like
Yeah.
she is not with the Titans. They make sure to say that. But I've never read this Crush before, really now, and it's like I don't know if she's actually like if by the way, this is by Tamaki, and Nalupan is on the art, and this art also, it's Amike Nalupan, and it is fantastic for like 90% of the time, and like that other 10% of the time it's like it's all right, just some things are kind of out of place, but like they'll do close up of the faces and you're like, holy crap, this is outstanding. But so I can't really be like, oh yeah, Tamaki really nails Crush, like I have no idea, but it's pretty fun. The only downside is like it's very much like, oh, I'm breaking the fourth wall, I'm kooky and crazy and fun like Deadpool, but I'm also a teenager and I'm in love. And so there's like, it's just like it kind of doesn't know what it wants to be at times, so like that kind of annoys me. And I will just also say, like, you don't realize just how like just kind of terrible of a design Lobo has until you see it without facial hair, and that's what Crush looks like. Like I hate, like, because it just looks like um I guess like a rejected member of Kiss, and it's not good at all. And there's like a lot of like close-ups of her face and stuff. I'm like, I don't like that. But other than that, I actually really enjoyed it. Like I would probably give it a 6 out of 10. I'd be interested in reading it. And if you do know a lot about Crush, you should just be like, hey, I want to come on and talk about Crush and how Tamaki did it right or did it wrong. I don't care. Let's do it.
All right. I can talk about Apex Legends Overtime #1. This was written by Jesse Stern. And then, so it was written by Jesse Stern, but the story was by Jesse Stern, Tom Casiello, and Manny Hagopian. And then pencils were done by Neil Edwards. So unless you play the game Apex Legends, this book probably isn't for you. Um, but yes, basically the goofball character from the game, his name is Mirage. He This kind of focuses on him and his teammate in the game, which is Crypto. And this is sort of a team building issue where they're not winning the game, and Mirage is like, "Come on, let's go get a beer and talk about what we need to work on." And Crypto's like, "Well, I can't. I have a job I got to do." Mirage is like, "I'll come with you." And then some really bad stuff happens with a couple other characters in the game, and it leads to a cliffhanger thinking Mirage is going to betray Crypto. So, you know, who knows what's going to happen there? Most of the whole point of the game is you have a team of three, so you can pick any of the legends. Um, and then you have to be the last one standing. So it's kind of like, is he just playing for himself like you do in the game, or is he actually trying to build trust with his teammates? So it's pretty interesting. I liked it because all the characters were written like they express themselves in the games. The art was pretty cool. I just like seeing the characters from this game that I play all the time in this format. So it was pretty neat. I'm gonna give it a 6, but it's like a high 6 because it's just a lot of build up. Um, but I did really enjoy it.
Now, I got a quick question for you because I don't know this game at all. So I'm not sure if this is the right one, but this is the game with like the monkey guy, right? Like he's got like a cybernetic arm, or am I making that up?
No, you were thinking of Overwatch,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
which I also played a good bit of, but yeah, I can
Okay.
see why you get them confused.
Okay. Yeah, because like there's like a whole like a bunch of like first person shooters. I'm like, I don't know this stuff at all.
Yeah.
But all right, so my next one is the Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing and Joe Bennett, and you have the Avengers beating up on the Hulk because they wanted to. Like it really that was based like it was so poorly written on the reasoning why like they decided, oh, we're just gonna fight them. They don't try to talk. That was how the last issue ended, and then like this is one of the stupidest things. Blade is on the Avengers, so he's attacking Hulk. He's like a Hulk that's stronger at night, that rises from the dead. You think I don't know the signs? You got bit, Hulk. Admit it. You're a stinking vamp. And so then Hulk just grabs him and throws him. And yeah, and then like none of the Avengers can really do much to him. Like Thor's fighting him, is beating him up, but then like he Hulk regenerates his arm over his head and starts like making it so Thor can't breathe. And then like She-Hulk doesn't know what to do because she's like, oh, I want to help my cousin, but at the same time, I want to help my team. And it's not good. But then instead of a cliffhanger, at least this time we end with some monster on monster makeout session.
Ooh, that's steamy.
Yeah. Steaming dang it garbage. But yeah, no, it's like, and I'm not gonna blame Al Ewing for the She-Hulk. I hate stupid She-Hulk. I really do. It kind of ruins the character in my opinion, but that's not his fault. And then, but yeah, then the Gamma flight shows up, and we get like Rick Jones, who's like kind of dead, kind of not, and it talks to Captain America. Captain America, who's not really being himself either. Like none of these characters just come off like themselves, and it's just kind of lame. But that's how Al Ewing writes, in my opinion. He just writes character. It's very much a Bendis style where it's just like, this is how they need to act in this situation. So that's what I want. That being said, this is still like the best issue he's had in a while, in my opinion. It's I'm probably not going to come back to it though. I'm just kind of washing my hands of it and waiting for Donny Cates now. I'm just going to give it a 4 out of 10.
So is this like hey, I'm doing gamma flight soon sort of issue, or
No, Gamma Flight's been like a secondary thing this
oh,
whole time.
okay.
So yeah, it's just kind of like he just brought them in and they were gonna help out Hulk, and yeah, it's just like yeah, I get like Absorbing Man and what's your name being jerks, but Puck and Leonard Sampson, like you're not gonna talk, like the Avengers aren't gonna try talking to them, and like you're gonna send Thor in who wants to fight Hulk to try to smooth things out first. It's like, get out of here.
Man, you make a really good case to pick up this book.
Yeah.
All right. Next, I'm going to do Man Bat number 5. And this was written by Dave Wilegoss, and art was done by Sumit Kumar. Um, so this is the finale of the Man Bat miniseries. And this issue is awesome. It was a really good ending. Um, Batman's all messed up on uh, the sound cannon fear gas mashup that Scarecrow just came up with, and Man Bat is just a beefier version of himself called King Man Bat, and they're just fighting. And meanwhile, Francine is like trying to help stop Scarecrow. And while that's going on, Kirk is having like an interior, like a I just said interior. Is that the internal
You're the one with
conflict?
the English major, man. Come on.
I know, right? Lots of internal conflict on well, should I take over because I think I know how I can stop Batman, or should I let Man Bat fight because he's big and beefy and stronger than normal? So lots of cool stuff going on, but it doesn't feel rushed, and it feels like each of those things gets it's just well balanced. And so now we're going into the spoilers. Spoilers. Man-Bat is like, I'm. If you think you can stop Batman so that you can then stop Scarecrow and save the city, I'm gonna just let you do it. But you need to realize that we're not like a Jekyll and Hyde. I'm just like a part of you. I'm all your anger and everything that's wrong with you, and you just use me as an excuse to kind of be crazy sometimes. But we're one and the same. So uh, you're not gonna. He's basically saying Man Bat is going away. Like it's just Kirk now, which I thought was pretty cool. Um, so we get like King Man Bat kind of goes away, and we just get a more human looking Man Bat, and he and Francine are able to stop Scarecrow and help Batman kind of snap out of it and save the city. And then Batman's like, all right, well, now you need to go to jail. And Man Bat's like, fine, just let me say goodbye to Francine. And so they have like this crazy, awesome heart to heart where Kirk has finally like come to terms with he and Francine are over, and they're not going to get back together no matter what he does to like fix people anymore. So that was depressing, but like also awesome at the same time. And then Batman takes him off to Blackgate. But then there's like a little epilogue where Kirk is like, they like give him a lab so that he can continue like helping people. He just has to be under watch now. And as he's doing that, Wonder Woman comes in and she's like, hey, I'm forming this team and I think you'd be really good for it. We need somebody with a mind like yours on it. And she takes out her lasso. She's like, this is my lasso of truth. If you take it, you'll be unable to lie even to yourself. Um, we can help a lot of people. Like, are you ready to start like a new life for yourself? And he takes it and he says, I'm ready to tell the truth. And then that's how it ends. And it says, follow the adventures of Man Bat and his newfound truth in Justice League Dark. Like, man, what a good freaking like prequel to Justice League Dark.
Yeah, it just bums me out that Justice League Dark is 100% in a Bendis book.
I know. But dude, when this trade comes out, I highly suggest that you get it and
Yeah,
read it. Like this book was so, so cool.
and then Kumar's art is
Yeah.
fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
what is he going to next? Because it is too good not to to be in something else.
I don't know. I really, really hope that that he gets put on like an A-list book now that isn't
Same.
Bendis. um, but yes, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. It was the perfect
Nice.
final issue. The series overall was crazy fun. I never thought a Man Bat book could be this good. But it was a total knockout. So 10 out of 10.
So we go from a 10 out of 10 to a book that I'm going to complain about. It's Green Lantern #3 by Jeffrey Thorne with Tom Rainey and Marco Santucci on the art. And it's just like, so Thorne was the guy that complained that Hal Jordan was the least interesting Green Lantern, correct?
Say that again. You kind of cut out.
Oh, sorry. Jeffrey Thorne was the guy that complained that Hal Jordan was the least interesting Green Lantern.
That is correct.
Okay, so this comic is kind of showing how he doesn't know anything about Green Lanterns because he's like, yeah, you know what's going to make them very interesting if we get rid of the fact that they're Green Lanterns. We're just going to give him a gun and let him do his thing on this planet where he's like fixing up a car and he's fighting people because he's got a gun, but he doesn't have his Green Lantern ring.
Wow, that doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah. So, and then like, we get some of the Kid Lantern in this, and uh then Joe shows up from Far Sector. She's in it, helping out with Oa. Her ring still works, and so does Kid Lantern. And then ends with like Hal Jordan getting a message. It's not very good, and I hate the art. Like I can't even say like I like this. Like I'm sure some people do, but like I don't know. This style, it just does not do it for me. What do you think of that? We're just looking at it.
I mean, it looks fine. It looks like any 2000s DC comic art, you know.
It makes me think of like I don't. So the death in return of Donna Troy. It was like a trade that we had, and on the return, the art, I think it might be the colors, were very similar, and I hated that. And it's like I hate like the 2000s non Green Lantern sci-fi DC has. Like if it's not Green Lantern, it's sci-fi. I hate that art, and that's this art reminds me of, and I can't stand it. So yeah, I'm just not feeling this book at all. Like the fact that Hal Jordan and Joe are in it and they still have power rings, that's pretty cool. So I'm probably gonna keep reading it for that. But I just don't know who at DC was like, yes, this is the idea that we go with for Green Lanterns. This is a good one.
Well, I'm not reading it, so I can't say anything, but it sure sounds like a dumpster fire.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10. I'm hoping it gets better still because I like the characters. I like John. I like Joe. I like Hal. I'm enjoying Simon. I don't know haven't read enough of that character in it yet to say like I like this character, but like those are the main ones. I don't like Kid Lantern. I'm calling her that even though I know it's Teen Lantern. I just can't stand that character.
Yeah. She's still just like angsty,
Yeah,
like full bore.
she's just yelling the whole time and slipping in between Spanish and English the whole time, and it's
Oh,
just like
speaking of that, that happens in the Apex comic. I was sitting there reading it, and it happened, but with Korean, because
Oh,
crypto is
okay.
Korean.
I
It's like,
gotcha.
oh man, Casey just brought this up, and yeah, it is really annoying.
Yeah, it's
Nobody
just
talks like this.
yeah. I mean, like the only people I could think could talk like that are people that are like from the like directly from that country, and they're talking to like if like I was talking to someone from Mexico and they were like being nice because they're smarter than me and they know enough of English, but then like they could slip back into Spanish because like they don't know all of the words, and they could
Yeah,
just say like because Wukash would do that every once in a while with Polish, but when he was talking to his mom, he'd be talking in Polish, and then he'd just say like an English word every once in a while because he didn't know that word in Polish anymore and in Polish anymore.
yeah.
So it's like I can get
But
that,
see,
but
but that isn't what's happening in these
I know
comics.
this is just them going, hey, remember they're a different race.
Yeah. All right. Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters #1. And this was written by Charles Soule, and Luke Ross is on the art. So the saga continues with who stole Han Solo from Boba Fett. And Boba goes to this bar, like this cantina out in hot space on Nar Shaddaa, and he's complaining to the bartender who he knows about someone stealing his bounty, and he doesn't know who did it, but whenever he finds out, he's going to kill him. When all of a sudden, a bounty goes out for Boba instead of Han, and some people start trying to take him out, including uh, Zuckuss, and I always call him Forlom. It was like 4-LOM, but uh, like in these comics, I don't know from when you read them, Casey, if you noticed, but whenever they like C3PO's on, someone's talking to him, they spell out the word three and then do like PIO, like spell out
Oh,
3PO.
okay.
And so they spelled it out, and it's FOR-ELLOEM. So for LOM at
Sounds good to me.
Allo? I don't know, but that's not at all how it looks.
Yeah,
Anyway, I'm still going to call it Forlom because it just rolls off the tongue better.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. So Zuckuss and Forlom, uh, which you would recognize that. I don't know if this is going to work with my screen, but of course not. But anyway, Forlom is the black droid right there in the
Oh
middle,
yeah, I kind of I do recognize him.
and you would recognize Zuckuss too if this worked. But
Here,
anyway,
hold on.
they are teaming up together to bring in Boba, and Boba's like, he kind of gets the upper hand on him, and he's like, okay, like there's no bad blood between us, so like what's the deal here? And they end up trying to still bring him in, so Boba just takes them both out at once, which is kind of crazy because they're supposed to be like two of the best as well. And Zuckuss even has the ability to see um, like not far in the future, but like still has some psychic abilities.
How funny would it be if like he tries looking like into the future to see how to beat Boba, and it just keeps going to him getting his butt kicked.
Dude, I mean, that's what should have happened.
He's like, let's see what I gotta do. He's like, oh crap.
But after a big fight, Boba just ends up cutting the head off of Forlom and taking it with him. He's like, "You're gonna talk to me
Nice.
whether you want to or not," which was really cool. Um, and it turns out that Jabba put out this bounty. So he goes to Jabba's palace on Tatooine with Forlom's head and takes out some Gamorreans, shows why he's a total BA, and ends up talking to Bib Fortuna because Jabba is out in space having like a meeting with all the other Hutt lords, and the Hutt lords are deciding should we trust these people who claim to have stolen Boba Fett or Han Solo from Boba Fett? And they decide that they're going to go meet these people. And now we're going to talk spoilers because the people that stole Han are the Crimson Dawn. And if you're like old school comics and like game Star Wars fan, you'll recognize that.
I
Or
recognize the name, but that's all.
yeah, they they were like dismantled, but it was like a pretty big organized crime group. And you'll also recognize it if you've seen the Solo movie, which is cool because that movie is tying into this book. So anyway, we get to the Crimson Dawn people, and this person has had their hood up the whole time, and they're like pulling the strings to all this. And they explain that they chose to steal Han because Han is connected to like every major group in the galaxy, and they're not wrong. The Rebel Alliance, the Empire, the bounty hunters, like all the crime stuff from his smuggling days, and they did a Charles Soule does a nice job of making that make sense. And then the last page, the person finally pulls the hood down, and it is Amelia Clark's character from the Solo movie. Her name is Kira, and she is like taken charge of the Crimson Dawn. So that's pretty cool because the Solo movie was awesome, and they needed to do another one. I'm really disappointed that they never ended up doing a sequel to that. But this looks like it's going to be our sequel to that. So this is what happens between the Solo movie and Boba actually taking Han to Jabba's palace. So I mean, sure, we know the outcome, but I'm totally in on what's happening in the meantime. Like everybody wants to see all these cool looking bounty hunters that we only see for 30 seconds in the original movies, like duke it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, every part of this was awesome. Um, when I think of the last book that I just gave a 10 out of 10, I'm like, was it that level? It wasn't. And why I have no complaints, I still can't give it a 10, but it's as high a 9 as I can give it.
Now, I will say, just as like a not as serious Star Wars fan as you, it does annoy me that Boba Fett will then like he'll get a bounty put on his head by Jabba, and then when Return starts up, he's just chumming, he's just chummy old Boba Fett with Jabba the Hutt.
Well, the little bits or not little bits, there's a good amount of dialogue in this book, but like his conversation with Bib at Jabba's palace and seeing what's going through Jabba's mind while he's having this meeting with the other Hutts, and Boba and like never trusting anybody but still knowing he's the best. All of that kind of like makes that make sense. Like Charles Soule does a really good job with
All
it.
right,
Like
I trust him.
nobody trusts anybody else. They all know
Yeah.
that at a moment's notice, like a switch can be flipped. So it's done well enough.
All right. So next up for me is Ginny Zero, number 2, and this is by Dave Dwannock and Broughton McKinney with Magenta King on the art. And so this gives like more of a backstory onto what happened to her father. Shows that she's got powers and kind of going into stuff like her a little bit more of her backstory and all that stuff. And it's actually pretty enjoyable. Like the main character is still very unlikable, and that's kind of the point. It's one of those things. And I will say this, and this happens a lot in comics anymore, and I'm just kind of get tired of it, where they're like, yeah, we're going to start you in the middle of the story, then we're going to give you their backstory slowly throughout the series, because we don't need to see that stuff in chronological order. this is the new hotness. We're doing it this way. And I'm tired of that. Just tell the story normal. It's not that big, not that serious. Just do it, normal way. Like, unless you're not reinventing anything, do it this crazy kooky way. It's easier to get invested if you just tell it normal. But yeah, it's fun. Like, it's a fun book if you're interested in giant monster stuff and whatnot. I'd say I'd give it a little checkaroonie. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10.
Right on. Next is Suicide Squad number 4. I have to find the credits page. It was written by Robbie Thompson, and art was done by Eduardo Pansica, Joe Prado, and Julio Ferreira. So we're still crossing over with Teen Titans Academy. So Waller has Red X in her facility, and he's got all these chains on him, and we find out that, because my first thought is, why is he like stripped down but still has the mask on? It's silly. But Waller says that anybody that tries to take it off gets a near lethal dose of electricity shot into him. So anyway, so we have the regular Suicide Squad that's like, Peacemaker is still trying to assert dominance, and the others are like, whatever, this dude's crazy. And in the meantime, it doesn't really say how, other than comic books, but Red X, with the electricity in his mask, reroutes it to something and is able to override the security here and gets himself out. And then the Suicide Squad then tries to stop him, but Red X lets like all the criminals out of, it's Blackgate, right? That's where Waller works. So Blackgate. So you see like Clayface and a couple other villains. And so some of the Suicide Squad is like trying to round up the villains, and Peacemaker's like, leave Red X to me. And Red X decides that he wants to go have a talk with Waller. Before that happens, there's a big showdown between Peacemaker and Red X. It's fun if you like cool comic book fight scenes. Art is very good. And I don't really know why Red X wanted to have the talk with Waller, because he pretty much just gets to her office and is like, flips her the bird and causes an explosion and escapes. He doesn't actually flip her the bird, but just like a ha.
Like, I was gonna say, like, he just sounds like the most '90s awesome character ever.
I know. Can you imagine?
He does a kick flip too.
So yeah, he escapes Blackgate, and the big reveal on the final page. Well, I don't know. You're gonna get it, right, Casey? I don't have to spoil it.
Go ahead, spoil
it. He lets Rick Flag out as well, and Rick also gets away.
No, I didn't even know they had Rick Flag captured.
Yeah. But anyway, it says next Bloodsport. So we'll get to see Bloodsport in the next issue. But I mean, it was cool. It's just like, it's goofy how Red X can just waltz in Blackgate and totally take over everything because his mask can shoot electricity out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he hacked into it before getting captured and all that, because he was able to hack into the Titans Tower too. So do you have any theories on who Red X is? I'm curious.
Not really, because like originally I was thinking it was gonna be the one kid from Batman, but it's like that's not who it is, because this is like clearly just a team, it's gonna be one of the Titans type of thing. So it's Like some people, like they were in the comic, they were trying to say it might be Freddy from Freddie Freeman because he doesn't have his powers his Shazam powers anymore. And that was one of the theories that like the Titans were throwing around, but I don't know. I really like since I've only read the first few issues of the Titans, I don't know these characters well enough to be like, oh, I think it's him.
Right.
I can say I know it's not the speedster girl. I know that one for sure. Like I can X her out of my theories.
You can X her out. I see
Yeah,
what you did there. I don't know. I thought I thought they were gonna go with a bat person, like
that's what I was
Tim
thinking
or
too.
something. Like it's gotta be someone really smart, and I don't know what Tim is doing right now, at least off the
He's gonna
top
be
of
in the
my head.
Robbins book.
Right. So, and
It's gonna be
plus,
Crush.
yeah, it's gonna be Crush. Um, plus I kind of just want to see Tim in something.
Yeah,
So that's just my wishful thinking. But anyway, uh it was still like a really enjoyable read. It was just like this was the Expendables or a Fast and the Furious movie, but you enjoy it sort of thing.
I gotcha.
So 8 out of 10. No
Nice.
complaints. It's just goofy fun.
All right, so next up for me is one of the books I was really excited about, and I've heard so much about, like building up to this because I follow James Tynion on the old Twitter, and it is The Nice House on the Lake, a DC Black Label book. It's by James Tynion the Fourth with Alvaro Martinez Bueno on the art. I'm assuming. I'm gonna double check. That's just what it says on the front. Yeah, on the art. And then we got Jordi Belair on the colors. These colors in this are really great.
They always are with her.
Yeah. And so this is very much like a Twilight Zone episode. Like basically all these people, they know this guy. The dude's kind of a weirdo, but he becomes friends with all of them. Like the girl that's telling the story, she's like, "Oh yeah, met this dude at the bar," and he would just always have these like, he'd be like, "If you could end the world, how do you think it would end?" And then we'd always just have these discussions about it. And then now we're, then like basically now we're at the lake house, and there's all these other people that I sort of know. That's all I'm gonna go into story wise with it. But it, like I said, very much like a Twilight Zone. I have no idea where it's going, but I was captivated. I really liked it. Very interested to see where it's going. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
It was like outside of Batman, probably the book of the week. Like lots
Nice.
of people were asking ahead of time for it, and I definitely sold out the day that it came out.
I figured you did. That's why I figured you didn't read it.
Yeah. I just have Iron Fist and Batman left.
Okay, so I'll talk about these two really quick, and then we'll get to those. So, Dead Dog's Bite, number 4, and this is still by Tyler Boss. And this just kind of goes into more, more info onto the whole town, all the weird conspiracy stuff that's going on. It's really weird, really cool, kind of explains what happens. I don't know what's going to happen next, and I'm really curious about that. If there is going to be another issue, I don't really know, because the way this ends, they could easily end it here, and I'd be fine with it. But I'd like to see more. But yeah, I liked it. Really like this series. This will be an 8 out of 10 for me. And it's also another one of those ones like like the last book I talked about, where I don't really want to tell you much. I just want you to read it because it's good. And so Nocterra, number 4, and this is by Scott Snyder and Tony S. Daniel. Does this sell well? I ask as you're taking a drink.
No, that's okay. Yeah, it does. It's
Good.
one of the best selling like non-big two books that we sell.
Nice. Yeah, so like you get more backstory about the parents, because they can't tell the story just at the start. They have to tell, they have to sneak that stuff in there every once in a while, and all of that stuff. And then you have some fun killing stuff, and then there's some sunlight, and that's how it ends. It ends with a sunlight type of thing. Pretty cool, not gonna lie. I'm digging it. Uh, this book, it's like it's just very solid, you know? Like if this was like if I was trying to like build a team of Pokemon and like I had like one like really top tier and I was like I need some like other ones that are good that like won't get killed like first couple hits, Nocterra would be in that tier, you know?
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
yeah. So like it's like when you're fighting Brock and like you have the your starter Pokemon in there who's really tough, but then you're like, I gotta get some Pidgeys because my Rattatas not gonna hold this up, you know, because that's all you're getting in between Pallet Town and wherever Brock's at.
Computer City, come on.
Okay, sorry. But yeah, so like with that said, it's like a 7 out of 10. It's not Scott Snyder's best stuff, but it's still real good.
Well,
Real solid.
even like okay, Scott Snyder is still pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. It's like just being like, yeah, it's not his best, but his best is also some of the best comics I've ever read. So it's not there, but it's still really good.
Yeah. All
So
right.
I'll take point on Iron Fist because I probably liked it more than you because you texted me disappointed about it.
Works for me.
Okay, so this is by Larry Hama with Dave Watcher on the art, and it's issue number 6. I'm assuming it's the last issue of the series. Um, so yeah, you have like first of all, let's ask you initial thoughts on it.
I hated it.
Did you hate everything leading up to the end, or was it just the end that kind of threw you?
No, I pretty much hated all of it, really.
All right.
It's just, dude, it's like we said before, but now it's like an actual like big problem for me. This isn't an Iron Fist book.
Yeah.
But I'll
It's
let you do your thing.
so yeah, I mean you have like they're battling the dragon and all this stuff, and they're all teaming up and it feels like an event book, like an Iron Fist event book. Like and it also kind of builds up the lore of Iron Fist more than actually does anything with Danny Rand. And that is a disappointment because like I'm not reading this for the lore of Iron Fist. I'm not reading this for anything other than the fact that it's like Danny Rand as a character. And so like since they give a lot of the cool stuff to Okoyo, I think that's how you say her name, which is kind of a disappointment. And but yeah, she ends up saving the day and because Danny gives her the Iron Fist and she's got all the hearts and of the other stuff and yeah, and then like she gives the Iron Fist power to the little dragon that they had to kill, and that's how it ends. We don't have an Iron Fist anymore, I guess, but that's gonna get ignored sooner or later, and he'll be back.
Yeah, but that doesn't make this like okay.
Yeah,
Because what you just said is I read this for Danny Rand.
yep,
Danny wasn't even the hero in this. He didn't give the final blow. He gave away his powers. This was an Okoyo book, or however you said her name.
that's what's kind of crazy though is like the first 4 issues were Danny Rand, really.
Yeah.
Like, and then like the 5th issue, I was like, nah, it's kind of like a team up book now. And then this issue was like, it's like the event book because like they're gonna give Okoyo her next, or like she's gonna get her own book soon, type of thing. Where like they're building her up in this for her future book, which I don't think she's getting one.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not Danny's book. Okoyo says, actually, I don't want to be the Iron Fist. So she's not the Iron Fist. Nobody is. It's just like,
Yeah,
you know what? We just don't want an Iron Fist anymore. It's like, well, why did you end it like that? That's a
yeah,
bad ending.
it
It, you
was
know,
pretty weird.
I'm gonna curse Casey. It was a shitty ending, just
You'll
all around.
you'll have to edit that one out of YouTube.
I know we won't. YouTube's already marked as not for kids, so
Oh no, we'll make
um,
less money that way.
I know, right? It's just it's really disappointing. They're basically saying the Iron Fist power is back in Gork's egg. Gork is the new Shulao the Undying. So whenever he hatches and grows up big and strong and someone decides to fight him for the Iron Fist power, that's who gets the power. Well, when's that gonna be? I don't know, dude. This and Danny's just fine with it. He's like, I'm just gonna live my life. No, you can't. Danny Rand can't just like go and like there's too much going on in his life. I don't know. This was dumb. All the characters were just like, this is a fine ending, and it wasn't a fine ending.
Now, where was the Prince of Orphans? Because he was in the last issue, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, like he wasn't even in the background in this.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it had some like this had some fun fights in it, and like just like, and I love the art still. So like those are pluses. It's still just, yeah, it's just very much like
Here, dude, here's another thing that's not okay. They're like, hey, little girl, we have to kill
that
your
was
dragon.
hilarious to me.
It wasn't to me. It was just bad because it's not like they're explaining this to the dragon and the dragon's like, okay, do it. He's scared the whole time. We're
No, because
watching his
at
face.
at the end, like when he's ready for it. He's like, because he knows that's his destiny.
That's not the vibe I was getting from it. And and that's the whole point of art. It's everyone's
Yeah.
their your own interpretation. But
I'll hold it up so that people can see it because they'll have a better chance seeing it on mine. Here, hold on. Yeah, you can keep talking about the art really quick while I do it.
the art was good. I mean, there's no complaints about the art at all. And like the villain design was neat, but like you don't even really get that much Iron Fist action in this. There's like two panels where he's like mid jump kick, but otherwise the only real fight scenes are between the bad guy and Okoyo. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what this was supposed to be, but I sure didn't like it at all.
Yeah. See, because okay, you get her. Can you see that? Okay, because I have
Yeah,
it in front of it. All right. So you can see like kind of worried, and then like later on, it's like it's prepared.
I guess
Okay.
I just thought it was in bad taste to be like, hold up your dragon, little girl, so we can kill it and save the day.
And in all fairness, with the little girl though, she may be a little girl, but she's also killing zombies, so it's not like a normal little girl. It wouldn't be like me doing that to my niece, and be
Yeah,
like,
no, I know.
but no, like I didn't hate it. I thought it was fun, but it isn't really that much of an Iron Fist book, and anymore, I don't get too hung up on continuity because writers are too lazy to care.
Yeah, well, I mean that's a whole other issue, but I don't like that either
Yeah,
because now it's just like, well, I really like this series, and I just pretend like this one doesn't exist, which you can do with anything, but this should matter. And this has nothing to do with Danny,
yeah.
other than
I mean,
him not being Iron Fist anymore.
the next thing with Iron Fist, it'll just be something like, oh yeah, when the dragon was born, he had too much power, and he just gave me back mine.
Yeah,
Had to go somewhere, that type of thing.
right. Um, I'll give this book a 3 for the art. The art gets it 3 points.
I'm gonna be honest. That the dude that does the art in this, he needs to do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book
Mhm.
because like Danny already kind of looks turtley, so it would make it so sweet. But I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was just kind of like okay.
All right. And then we'll wrap everything up with Batman number 109. This was written by James Tynan and art by Jorge Jimenez, and with Maury on colors. So, Casey, I will ask your initial thoughts.
I love the art. This is some of the best art in comic books right now. Story itself, kind of fine. It doesn't seem like Tynan is paying any attention to Catwoman though, because Poison Ivy, if she's trying to do all this crazy kind of eco-terrorist stuff in this book, but then in Catwoman, she doesn't have any memories. It doesn't really seem to be the same, same going ons. But that was pretty neat. And then like you're getting some of the future state nonsense in there, which whatever. But and I liked it. And the Ghostmaker story in the back was kind of interesting. I really got like I don't know Akira well enough to be like, yeah, I got Akira vibes, but I got Akira vibes from the character that was in this. That Ghostmaker
Yeah.
fought and that was talking.
Yeah, I thought it was like clearly these backups are like mini origin stories for these other assassins. I thought this one was cool. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, these are showing because when Ghostmaker first showed up in Batman, it's like, well, why is he as good as Bruce? This is showing why, and it's
Yeah.
always like really cool. So, uh, yeah, I like that, and the art in that's really cool too. But no, I also like the story. I do know what you mean about like the stuff with Poison Ivy, but they told us with this Infinite Frontier stuff that continuity doesn't matter. So,
I know. It's just annoying because it's like these books are all supposed to be connected. And then you'll reference back and like with the other ones where it's like, hey, check out Detective Comics. It's like, but what about the other stuff?
mhm. Yeah, and I didn't know uh this Gardner lady.
No, neither did I.
I know I've seen this character before, but I couldn't tell you where. But Ivy sure looked cool,
Mm-hmm.
and it was neat to get some of the Harley Ghostmaker interaction in there too. It seemed a bit like just like a filler issue, really, but
Yeah.
you know, this filler issue was better than some like regular issues for other series that I've read. So
Yeah.
there is that. Um, Again, I know you mentioned it a while back in regards to the future state stuff, where it's like, why didn't they do this first? Um, it's kind of like that, where the big like Peacemaker 01 reveal isn't that special because we already, we've seen it in future state.
Yeah.
Um, but it's still fun. It's a gorgeous book. I still really enjoyed it, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
That's about where I'm at with the 8 out of 10. I think it's 100% like real good, but it's also like there's just I have these like minor gripes throughout, and it's cool. Like if you've been reading Tynan's Batman, you're gonna like it because it's still Tynan's Batman. Like he still does a great job, so there's nothing to
Yeah,
complain about there. It's just like you're just kind of left going, oh, okay. I
right.
will say, Punchline, she could be Harley Quinn and Ghostmaker in a sword fight, no problem.
Oh, easily. We don't even need an explanation because we wouldn't get one anyways.
Yeah.
All right, dude. So, what books are you most excited for next
Okay,
week?
I'm gonna pull that up really quick because I have it, but I had my phone locked. Okay, so I'm gonna say The Good Asian, then Justice League, The Last Ride, and then Far Sector this time because it's coming out this time.
Yeah, I checked the date. I'm like, no, he's just a week off.
Yeah,
For me personally, I'm gonna go with Joker and Wonder Woman. And let's see, my third one, I'll go Bounty Hunters. I'm
nice.
liking this little shindig over in Star Wars. So
All right. So next up is just in Fantastic Four, unless you're like, hey Casey, I got some surprise trivia for you.
nah, we've been rambling long enough.
That's a fact. So I turned 30, um, this weekend. And so now we're two old men yelling at the sky when we complain about comics. So why don't you just give us 4 comics that we should read before we turn 30 for everyone else?
Sure. So I was kind of thinking of like what would be in my top 10, and then which of those would be in sort of everybody's top 10, and that's kind of what I went with. So I'm gonna go with Saga from Image Comics because I just feel like there's something for everybody in that book,
Yeah.
at some point in the series. And even if you're not to that point yet, you're at least gonna love what it looks like on the way. And by the way, Casey, I think in July will mark 3 years without it.
And it was supposed to be like a 1 year hiatus.
Yeah. And I know BKV is working on TV and stuff, but the way that issue 50 ended, please give us more.
Yeah.
Um, next, I was trying to think of like a good Marvel one, and I'm gonna say Infinity Gauntlet, um, for obvious reasons, right? And then I'll do two DCs because we all know that I'm a little bit more of an overall DC fan. I'm gonna go with Killing Joke because whether you think that book is like as awesome as everyone says or not, it's still referenced today like all the time in various books. So, um, and then I was like, well, who's the best superhero ever? And it's not even like an opinion, it's just a fact that
Puck.
Superman is
Oh.
the best superhero ever. And the best Superman comic book of all time is All-Star Superman. So that's why that also made my list. So there you go.
Good list, man. Good list.
Thanks.
Like, yeah, like All Star Superman would for sure be on mine. Also, like when I was thinking in my head, mine's kind of hilarious though, because like I have a lot of Marvel comics that I would rate really high that I think are really important, but would not be my four that I would be like, yeah, before you're 30, you need to read. I didn't have a single one on mine because it was like All Star Superman. Like that's Superman boiled down to its core. That's it, you know. And then next one, I would say would be Starman. Like it's like kind of All Star Superman's like the perfect superhero story. Starman is also really close to being a perfect superhero story. It's like perfect for this character because it's like his beginning to his end when he dies. Spoiler alert. Have you finished it yet, Jake?
No.
Sorry.
I had a feeling though.
Um, so yeah, I know it's like his perfect, like it's a perfect story for this character. I love that series so much. James Robinson absolutely kills it. I highly recommend it to anybody. But once you're 31 years old, never read it. And then another one that I think everyone should read before they're 30 would be Animal Man by Grant Morrison. This series starts off like a regular book about like a sea level hero, and then it becomes something insane. And Grant completely kills it. They introduce themselves into the book later on, which led to a very funny story that Jeff Lemire told when he took over Animal Man, and Grant looks at him and he says, "Don't F with his family." And because like in the book, Grant has a heart to heart with Buddy over over Buddy's family. So like, you know, he's still watching over him, which I thought was pretty cool. And then my last one is Why the Last Man. This book, it's fantastic, but it is a very much like oh yeah, you should be reading this like in your early 20s to late 20s book. And because like once you get older, you might be like, oh, pandemics don't happen. That would never happen. Anything like that.
I'll be honest, there's two of those that I haven't read, and I'm past the 30 mark. So you think is it still okay if I give them a shot?
Yeah, though with the Animal Man one, you should probably turn like vegetarian because that'll still be like really good for you that way because you know he becomes vegetarian in it. So like it'd be
Right.
helpful that way.
Yeah. I do need I always have wanted to read both Animal Man by Grant and Why the Last Man. I don't know why I haven't. Just
Now,
haven't, but
here's a question because I'm going to give you a plug. Does a comic book shop in St. Louis offer pretty much all of these books for, you know, listeners that want to read these?
you know, that shop does, Casey. It does
Ooh,
indeed. Comic headquarters in St. Louis.
Telegraph Road, right?
Telegraph Road. Absolutely. You can find all of these wonderful books. And no one ever does, but we're still going to ask what's on your must read list before you're 30?
Or before you're 20, or before you're 50, whatever. I don't
Yeah,
care.
we still want to know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end. So let's do the closing plugs. If you would, please go to facebook.com/2worldspodcast and give our page a like. You can also find us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can also email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And also, we are on YouTube. Please go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe, comment on the video, do whatever, help out the old algorithm there. And please review us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this. If you haven't already, it would really help us out. And we'd love to stay in chat, but we got to go practice our barrel rolls. So we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye. I was actually gonna like roll out, but I don't have room on either side to do that, so I'd just be like knocking over a bunch of stuff.
Do it
Like
for
I
the
said.
content.